In the depths of the night, where shadows creep, I'm dancing with the devil in a soulful beat, feeling the darkness crawling under my skin, and no angelic harmony, just the devil's violin. The demons howl, they're singing their blues. Deep in my bones, the darkness brews. My heart's a prison trapped in this pain. Fighting these demons, they're driving me insane.
Yeah, I like how you say week to week. It's more like hour to hour, Ed.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, we've all got whiplash just like everybody else from trying to figure out where this thing is headed. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, literally. Our morning meetings are dominated just by trying to figure out what our possible strategy can be for these things, particularly for the things that are already in production. It's a huge challenge, and we're going to lose a lot of money on some of the things that it's simply too late to walk away from, or move facilities or. I'm not throwing myself a pity party because everybody's suffering with this stuff, but it's just the reality of it. So we're just trying to survive as best we can right now. That's a daily project.
Yeah, so I guess there's a point in the process where you've either got to pay to import it or you've got to pay to warehouse it because it's done. It's the physically exist and things are moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Not fun at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was always quite comfortable writing stuff for TSR in the old days and then handing it to them, and it's like, okay, I don't do production. You guys do that.
Right.
And I'll come along and I'll pick you up at the bar and pour you home when you finish planning. Because it got like that. And I didn't have to worry about any of those things, but thank goodness. And I suppose I could say I was brilliant to realize I was no good at them, so don't try. But on the other hand, if that's the job you have, it may be a job that you didn't think had those wrinkles in it when you took it, and then it's turning into that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that Beetle and Grimm does that you could over time rejigger? Like, I'm not talking now about current problems. I mean,
right.
What if hula hoops come in and then go out again, in a fad, and you've got anything in terms of design sitting in a warehouse, that could be repurposed into something else. Does that ever happen, or is it just not in the cards for the sort of things you guys produce?
Not generally. I mean, there are certain elements that come back around in the storytelling out of Wizards of the Coast. Like, for instance, we did a soul coin for Avernus that was one of our most popular pieces, and those reappeared in Vecna. So there are certain little elements that, like, the Harpers come up. Seems like every other adventure, somehow the Harpers find their way to into that.
Harper.
Yeah, so
it's all my fault, guys.
Yeah, right. Kind of a bitch.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I mean, there are certain little elements that will reappear, and we'll try to either reincorporate or find a new way of approaching it. But no, for the most part, when things are done, they're kind of done.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we're barely able to get the stuff that we're working on right now out the door. Never mind some warehouse somewhere that has all our good ideas.
Right.
Oh, so there is one. You heard it here first.
There is. Okay.
Okay. No. I was just curious because, I mean, one of the things you notice when you're older than dirt, like me, things like men's fashions cycle around far more
Sure.
often than women's fashions, and you find, thin jeans or flares or whatever you want to call them, come around again and go, and it's interesting to, and I'm thinking that doesn't seem to be the case in gaming, other than miniatures go up and down in popularity over the years, as in
Yeah.
usually by price.
Yeah.
Oh, I can afford to have 5 million like metal soldiers. No, I can't. And then somebody takes advantage of that by coming up with rules.
Yeah.
And then they go around again. And I was just curious, does that ever feel that way for you guys, or are you still in the, no, we can do this new thing and this new thing and this new thing, and you're not yet at the looking up and around stage because it's just you're trying to keep the trains running on time?
Yeah, I'd say it's mostly that. I mean, I certainly see some of that happening with our hobby. Um, like, we were talking about the art aesthetics from the 70s and 80s. I see that making a comeback with a lot of, especially independent artists, where you're starting to see stuff that's like, oh, that's that's that kind of like heavy metal rock and roll album cover vibe that we used to associate with our hobby way back when. So I do see some things starting to cycle around in that way, the way that bell bottom jeans are, and things like that. But I don't think we're old enough as a company to have started to experience that yet. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I would say the one thing that never goes out of style is really good storytelling. Right? I see it come and go. I see some products that are, wow, this is great, and then it sort of wanes for a while. But that to me is something that, it's good storytelling is always at a premium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. No, legit. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Uh-huh. So that begs the question. If you could do a huge mega story, if you could be the next Tolkien, what sort of story would Beetle and Grimm's want to tell?
Right.
Boy.
What sort? Not specific, sort.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's interesting. I don't know, John. You go first. I mean, I have some ideas, but
I mean, I think right now we're on this track of faster purple worm, kill, kill. We have conventions coming up. We're doing these stories. We have a lot of opportunities to continue to tell those stories where it's a one shot, everybody dies at the end, and everybody has a blast doing it. So right now, like my mind is on that right now because I'm preparing for some big shows coming up.
Right.
Okay.
That took off like gangbusters too, didn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I missed the one at Gen Con, unfortunately. I had tickets for it, but couldn't make it.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I wish I could have. That seems that people are really loving that.
Yeah, the live shows are doing great. We have a show at GameCon Canada and another convention called Too Many Games that's just outside Philly. So those are both in June, and then we're going to do a big show again at Gen Con on the Saturday night. Really excited about that. We got great casts for all those shows. That's really what we're starting to look at is the idea of going to cons just to do the live show, not trying to be an exhibitor, but just going in and doing a show and having some fun and getting out of Dodge.
Yeah, no, I think it would be fun. So
yeah, I was doing. I guess it was last year. Now we were doing the Legacy of Worlds, and because Elisa was on one of the episodes of Fast and Purple Worm, she wanted to see her episode when it aired.
Cool.
And we went through we did a watch party by trying to figure out how to get the streaming service up in Canada. It was like fight to get it. And suddenly she goes, "That's it! There! That's right!" and we finally got it, and it was like, and so of course, Tommy's whiskey room was right there, and
yeah.
Of course.
it was great, and I was killing myself laughing. I was thinking somebody should have done this years ago, for the game show with and I was thinking, but everybody dies at the end. Will the public accept that? Are they up for it? And then Tommy turns to me and said, "Ed, it's called life, everyday life." Oh yeah, good point. Okay, got it. Everybody dies in the end. Got it.
Yeah. Guess what? We're all playing Faster Purple Worm. We just don't
Exactly.
we don't admit it sometimes.
Yeah.
If you ever have that issue about trying to find something, there's a website called TV.garden, and it shows every TV station from around the world that you can get.
Wow.
Every TV station.
Okay, now I'm really scared because I'll never get any work done again.
Yeah, that is a rabbit hole to end all rabbit holes.
If you want to do Greenland, there's two stations in Greenland you can watch.
For now.
For now.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
No, please.
I'm sorry. I'll laugh too hard at that.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you have a chance again, look at that. You can find it somewhere, but there's some place you can watch Zimbabwe or something like that, Zimbabwe news.
Crazy.
Oh, that means I can start to get all the sports I can't get up here. Interesting. Okay, but that will mean that there will be less gaming because people will actually be able to watch stuff couch potato style instead of having to meet their friends across a table and roll dice.
No, never.
I know.
Stop it. Not okay.
Yes. Yeah. That was the specter I felt moved as.
Nothing changes. Nothing takes the place of the feel of the dice in your hand. And to show how old I am, and you and Ed, is the smell of the paper and the pencil. And when you're writing and erasing and rolling the dice and moving stuff at a table, will never be replaced.
No, you need the open bag of Doritos. You need
the Mountain Dew.
Need the Mountain Dew.
Oh God!
Well, now it's bourbon and Coke, but
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. When you said smell, I thought we were talking about the beer, but
yeah, beer, bourbon, whatever you want to call it. So exactly.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Bourbon. Yes.
No,
okay. Well.
I'm glad the streaming option exists for desperate circumstances, but nothing beats being around the table.
Oh, True. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Only for people who can't make it. So,
with that said, nothing beats being around a table. Would you guys ever consider doing board war games?
Doing what now?
Board war games. War games you play on a board.
War games, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, when the first thing that my older brother Charlie, who's also one of the founding members of Beetle and Grimm's, the first thing he introduced me to before he introduced me to D&D was Napoleonic war games, and we would sit around and paint my little Prussian cavalry all the same, and march them out onto the big 3D map that we had built, and so yeah, I mean a lot of nostalgia there for that. So I love those kind of games. We definitely want to get more into board games. We had a great experience with Ring of Chaos, and Charlie has a great idea for another board game that he is playtesting right now. We'll be playtesting that at Gen Con if you want to come by and give it a whirl. If you're in Indianapolis, yeah. So that's super fun, really different from Ring of Chaos, and we're having a lot of fun playtesting that right now. So. Those are the fun meetings, after we get done with the tariff meetings, we get to have the meetings where we play test fun games and
that's cool.
Have a good time together. So.
No, that sounds so cool. Okay. Yeah, because one of the things I've been noticing, because I work in public libraries, is that gamers are up for anything.
Yeah.
Non-gamers, you show them all these platonic solids and they give you a little look and go, Is this one of these satanic games or something of the sort? Though they're not comfortable with it, but you open a board that's got, say, gorgeous land masses painted on it or squares of some sort, and they lean forward and go, ooh. You don't have to sell it to them.
Right.
They're there already because they go, oh, I never got to finish that game or whatever it is from their youth. They're there with you, because it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now, what is this? Whereas it can be a harder sell for non-gamers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big part of what started this company is the idea of how do you pull people into these things? And when you roll out a big map or you hand somebody a handout of a letter that people find or a piece of jewelry or whatever, anything that kind of sucks people into it, gets them engaged and involved and excited about playing, that's what's going to get them to show up for your game night and dedicate the time and be a part of it. So that's what we're hoping for, man. Hope it still works.
Oh yeah, I love it when you guys do that because years ago I brought in Waterdeep Dragon Heist to a library program because it had props. And I was explaining, quote, my world,
right.
And they said, oh, that's right. So like you meet a bunch of people all over the planet, like make believe. And I said, that's right. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, how do you keep it from being fights and arguments? And then I pulled out the game and said, here you go. And they picked up the badges and they said, oh, so it's like real. So like somewhere in the world, some crazy guy is dreaming it and it becomes solid and real. And I said, that's right.
And you're talking to that crazy guy.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, no, actually, I said, they're goblins. We're not allowed to tell you exactly where. And they went, oh. So it's goblins, is it? And I thought to myself, what have I done? From now on, whenever the news, I could see that guy saying, I'm not saying it's aliens. But it was because you guys had actually made the props. And nice. In one fell swoop, that changed it from, that's nice, Ed, all these crazy things that all you gaming guys do. Yeah, we all know you're crazy too. Oh, it's real.
I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like when I started, because when I started playing, I was 17. It was 1970. I was 16, I guess, 1979, 1978.
Oh, Jeff.
And everything was just a module, pen and paper, chit cards, so you can draw a number. Oh, I just rolled the dice, and this is what it is, and the imagination was all that you had. But if I was 17 now, I would be broke all the time because all I would do is buy this stuff and buy this. I can't wait. Look at this. This has this. This has little things in it here. It has a card. Look at the letter I can hand out. In the past, I did that all myself. I'd type up a letter and age it with my cigarette lighter or throw it in the oven and burn it. And, right. Nowadays it just comes that way and it's great.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I was around in those days, and I can tell you the amount of money I spent on lead figures.
Ah, yes. Yes, okay. Yeah.
The amount of money that went into lead figures was substantial.
I still have the ones I bought in 1978, and some of them are still unpainted from the Roth Partha?
Roth Partha, yeah. Roth Partha.
And they're still, and the ones I did paint, and I was a big fat brush using model car paints that don't work. But yeah, oh no, I did the same thing. I even worked at a hobby store and I took stuff home to use it for research and I still have it.
Surely the statute of limitations has
I think we're good. Right? I think we're good. Of course, my manager was my DM, so he didn't care.
Okay.
They're singing their blues deep in my bones. The darkness brews. heart's a prison trapped in this pain.
La 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 la.